guys, it is Carl Brown from GL365.com. I got another very fun one from Van Halen today. We're learning how to play Judgement Dale off of the For Unlawful Carnage album. This one's a blast to play. It's got some really cool driving eighth note rhythms throughout the song. And then a crazy overhand, two-hand two-hand tapping when you put your hands over the neck like a pianist. So we're going to be doing that as well. That happens a couple times in the track because Eddie's amazing. So we're going to go through all of it note for note. Before I do it, please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Ring that notification bell so you'll know when I release a new video, so you can like and comment on the videos and kind of help me out with the YouTube algorithm, which hates me. I don't know why. And please, if you really want to support what I do here on YouTube, please check out my Guitar Academy. It's the best way to support these song lessons on YouTube. Plus, you get full access to my entire academy, which contains all of my guitar courses, from complete beginner courses to more advanced stuff and improvisation, ear training, theory, technique. It's a big guitar tone course in there, everything. So there's a lot of stuff there. Plus, you get personalized support from me. So please go check it out. You'll see a link in the description, and I'll give you a free 7-day trial to make sure you like it. All right, hope to see you there. Let's jump into the song. So this is Sammy era. So we're gonna be in standard tuning here. And I want to, quick little warning, this is kind of a new guitar for me. I said on Instagram, if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, please follow me. You can see the link in the description. You'll know that I got this recently. I said that I would not really use it in lessons because of these inlays. I know that it looks pretty busy. Look at these vine inlays. The guitar sounds and plays amazing. But yeah, I understand in the video world when you're watching me, it might not be the easiest thing. So I have to use this guitar. It's the only guitar I have that can stay in tune with all that crazy whammy bar stuff that goes on. So this is the only thing I can do to stay in tune. So that's the reason I'm using it. And I would assume that most players that are kind of tackling this kind of stuff, they can make sense that this is the 12th fret, kind of the bigger vine at 15, 17. Plus I'm calling them out. So hopefully that'll be enough for you guys. But this is all I can work with right now. All right, so let's jump into this intro. All right, so real briefly, right at the beginning of the track, you hear a quick little F sharp on the low E string. He's holding that with his thumb, and just hit it really quickly, muted. And it's just kind of starting off the song. I don't know, it's there. So then he starts the actual things you're probably more aware of over there. So what's going on there? We're playing the 4th fret on the D, open G, and then the 3rd fret on the B. So you play across those strings, and you let them ring, and then go up to the 5th fret on the D string, 3rd on the G, and 2nd on the B. 5th on the B string. So you pick across those strings as well, and then let that ring. Now back to the previous arpeggio. Same thing. And then we do this whammy bar stuff where what you're doing is you're muting the strings except for the low E string. And you're letting you can kind of start it out by pick the low E or just play it like that. And all the other strings are muted, but you're going with the whammy bar really violently on the whammy bar, while you let that low E open string kind of come up and down. And then we go to So that right there is the A power chord, open A power chord, over to the 3 on the low E string. So you do that a few times, a couple times. And then hit the A one more time. So we have this. All right, so now we pick up after that. We go back into the riff again. All right, so same thing. Except instead of holding that A chord at the A power chord at the end, we do this pinch harmonic at the 2nd fret there on the G. So you kind of bending up the 2nd fret on the G string. Kind of find it on your guitar. And then as you release the bend, you kind of really do some wild whammy bar. Eddie always did that. Right, the 2nd fret on the G string. He always just nailed it. All right, and then we start the riff again, but we do a little extension of it. Kind of move it, keep moving up. So we do that same first 2 chords, but then we move up here. So it's a D sus. So we're playing a 7 on the D and G, and then 8 on the B. And then here we transfer to the band comes in here. All right, so that is just gonna, so you're holding the 7th fret across this D major triad here, across the 7th fret of the D, G, and the B. And then come back and palm mute the 5th fret there on the open A string, on the A string. It's not open because you're playing the 5th fret, obviously, but we have this. So you pick that kind of the chord, and then the bass note a couple times, and then you make it the sus chord again by adding the 8th fret there on the B string. Back down to the bass note, and then back down to the D chord. And then that whammy bar stuff again. And then we have this. So that's going to start with the 2nd fret there and the D and the G together. Then you can play the 4th fret on the D and the G and pull back off to the double stop at the 2nd fret on the D and the G. So back to those 2 notes. Then back to the 4s. Then go up to 5 with those 2 notes, same 2 frets. 5 on the same 2 strings. And then slap to 6. So we have this. And then all right, so we have that. We're back to those double stops here. This is where we start doing the driving 8th note thing. So that's the 2nd fret there on the D and the G again. Then he kind of alternate picks the 8th notes here, just off the, once again, you're playing that F sharp there on the low E string at the 2nd fret with your thumb. And then so you can see right there, I went back to the double stop at the 2nd fret, come back and hit the low E string, the F sharp there a couple of times, and then to the 4s there on the D and the G. Sorry. Then back to the 2. So you're kind of keeping that 8th going in between the chords. So then we have this. So that's a D power chord. Open D, 2nd fret on the G, 3rd fret on the B. Then you get pull off 4 to 0 on the A string. Then play 2 on the A, and then hammer 3 to 4 on the A. So we have this. We have this. We kind of start the riff over again. And then he kind of stops it there. There's a little pause there. So it's kind of just repeated. We just don't have that little D ending. And then the first verse actually comes in. So the first verse looks like this. All right, so that right there is kind of the same riff we were playing before. But, so it's the same riff kind of done twice, that main riff that we just did in the intro, except this D at the end, instead of doing this, the timing of the D the second time around is different. It's like, so it's quicker. You just play that, you don't let that D ring out. It's just. So let me play the verse kind of so you can go through that riff twice. And just wait for that second time I do the D little riff. And you'll see how much faster it goes by. So all right, so there's nothing new to really, it's just kind of play a little bit quicker. And then we start doing some variations on a riff. All right, so we start the same riff again. So we did that, we're right after that quick little D riff. And so we're basically now pretty much at the second half of the verse. So we do that. So we start with that. Now from there we just go hit a pinch harmonic at the second fret on the A string, and then hammer 3 to 4 on the A. So we have this. Try this. And then back to the riff. Now a little bit different this time around too. We're gonna hammer the open A to the second fret. So instead of this, the harmonic on the second fret, we're gonna pinch harmonic. We're gonna play open A, hammer 2, and then that 3/4 again. So we have this all together for those two parts. Then back to the normal riff. Now you're going to end the verse section with an open A power chord, then the open E power chord. So the whole verse section looks like this. All right, now we have this little section that only happens one time in the song. I call it just the transition riff because it transitions back around to doing the verse again. And it looks like this. And then it goes back to the verse. So what that is, you start with this A major chord. So you can play the second fret there on the D, G, and the B, and move it up to the 4th fret, that shape. And strum it a few times. Then you're back down to the A, and you start doing some 8th note, kind of lighter 8th on the open A string. So this. All right, and then we do this again. So right there, he does some of his patented harmonics. So we're gonna start with the same. He does this instead of going back down to the regular, that position, this A there. Down here, we're gonna go play this A major chord in the 5th position. So that's a bar across the 1st fret of the, the 5th fret of the high E and the B. 6th fret on the G, 7th on the D. So we're this. All together. All right, after he nails that chord real quick, he does some harmonics. So those harmonics are starting at the 5th fret on the low E, then the 5th fret of the D. And then you're going to start and play the harmonic again at the 5th fret on the 5th fret on the A there, so it's a D note. And then we have the 5th fret on the, which is not a D note right now since it's a harmonic, but we have the 5th fret on the A, and then the 5th fret on the D. So we have this. Then you can take it down to like 3.2, so it's a little bit above the 3rd fret. And you pick the one on the A string, and I think he picks the one on the D string a couple times. So that's the way it is. So if you just make sure you're picking, kind of back it up closer to the bridge, it's going to make those harmonics come out. Especially these ones around the 3.2 that are not as strong. All right, so then we go back to the same riff. And this one, he kind of plays it like the first time we played it, but he'll hit the open A string like 3 times, and he jumps up and grabs that higher voicing of the A major real quick too. So, and then we kind of continue kind of the same, like we did the second time around, sliding up to the 4, going up to that 5th position, A major, and then power chords here at the 4th fret off the A, then to the 7th fret of the E power chord. So far, the whole section there looks like this. All right, now we get back to the verse again. It looks like this. So it's kind of a shortened version of the riff. So it's just that main riff. And right here, we just end it with that A and E power chord. And that takes us to the pre-chorus. Now the pre-chorus is actually a couple of guitars layered. There's some higher voice guitars in here, and then some lowered one. Live, he just plays the lower, so I'll just do that. So it looks like this. That gets us to the chorus, which is pretty much the main riff played again. So this pre-chorus, though, it starts with a C-sharp minor chord. So it's a bar at the 4th fret there, and you play just bar across these 5 strings here. Play the 5th fret on the B, 6 on the G, 6 on the D. To the D chord, E major, to an E major. And then the F-sharp minor chord, which is the bar at the 2nd fret, 4th fret on the A and the D. Try this. So right here, we get to this A power chord. And then he starts doing some 8th note rhythms there on the A string, and you're going to play the 4th fret, 5th, 4th, and then down to the E power chord. So we have this. Now here he gets some harmonics here at this changes in the second pre-chorus is a little bit different, the harmonics. The harmonics he does here, he's just hanging around the 7th fret. So there's also an overdub, so he does go back down to the harmonic at on the low E string. But he's also doing this. which is probably more important in what he does live. So I'm going to cut the harmonics off there and just jump to that, what he's doing live. So we have added this. So that's our harmonics on the low, the E string, the 7th fret to the A, and then back to the low E string harmonic a couple times, then back to the A string harmonic 7th fret, and then you go up to this E sus4 chord. So this you can just hold a regular E major chord here at the 7th fret on the A, 9th on the D, G, and the B, but you're going to add the 10th fret first on the B string. Then come down, hit that bass note a couple times, and resolve it to the E major chord. So we have this so far. From there, we go back to the same chord, starting with the C sharp minor. All right, so that was the same thing. So all the way from the C sharp minor to the D, E, F sharp minor. Now, where he kind of does something different here is when he gets to that A power chord. Hit the A power chord, then start hitting the 8th note rhythm on that open A string, then move it up to the 2nd fret, to the B. And then we have some pinch harmonics here. So he's playing the notes he's actually playing are 4/6 on the G, then 6/3 on the D string, over to 4 on the A, and then he goes down to the 4 on the low E string. But it sounds like kind of you can hold those together so you can still get that D note in there, or just in there, whatever. I like kind of just have them ringing together. So you pick pinch harmonics in each one of those notes, though. And then some more whammy bar abuse there, just like in the intro. And then we get to that. So that little thing that we did in the intro of the song, that led us into that main riff, same thing, and that's kind of going to be the chorus. All right, so that main riff kind of just stopping right there. We just did that. Kind of a simplified version of the verse, really. All right, and then we get back to the next verse section, which is exactly the same as the earlier, like the first verse we looked at, so nothing new there. And then we get from there, we go to the pre-chorus again, which is the same except for those harmonics. So I'll play through the new version with different harmonics for this. All right, so those harmonics. So instead of before when we were just at off that A, and then, so we did that before. Remember, hit that low E real quick before you go up to it. But the second time around, he just hit the low E string again, and then we have. So we're going to pick the harmonic at the 3rd fret on the low E, and then the A, then the A, and then the 5th fret, I'm sorry, and then the 7th fret. So we have just harmonics from the E to the A string at the 3rd fret, then 5th, then the 3rd, and then back to this, that kind of same E sus to E major. and everything else is the same. The same chorus. All right, now from there we get to Eddie's killer guitar solo where he uses tapping, where he kind of goes overhand here, so he kind of brings his hand over the fretboard. So I'm going to play through it real quick for you, and then I'll show you guys how to play it note for note. So here we go. So just really, really killer guitar solo. It's so funny. He just these crazy overhand tap arpeggios, which at that time I don't know who had done that before, but you know, he's a piano player, so it's probably pretty natural to him. I guess I can play piano now that I've worked this part up. But then he goes into like a really melodic solo. He was just amazing. Anyway, so we're going to be doing this tapping thing at the end too. So if you get it done now, the one at the end is very, very similar. It's a little bit different ending. So now let's look at what's going on here with this tapping. First of all, what you need to do is you need to set up your hand. Everybody's hands are a little different, right? So you need the back of your hand, the back palm or the back edge of the pinky, to really be muting all the strings down here. So kind of have a muted sound there. But you also need to do it at a certain angle so where you can get these two fingers to be hammering down on your middle finger is going to be hammering down onto the G string, and then the index finger is going to be hammering down on the A string. So that's kind of the first step, is getting used to that and having a nice muted sound while you do it. So they sound kind of clean. Now, what's the pattern? I don't know what he does with his pick. I didn't pay much attention at the video, but there's not a lot of live videos of him doing this. But we basically have, and I don't, what is with camera guys when they're showing a Van Halen concert? It's Eddie Van Halen. The camera should be on him 95% of the time, but it's not. So stupid. But anyway, so we have, I'm tapping now with my middle finger at the 14th fret on the B, and then the index at the 14th fret on the D string. Now, what I'm doing with the pick is I'm holding it with my ring finger here, so you can put it in your mouth and then grab it if you can go quick enough, because you got to go back to normal playing in a second. So anyway, I'm pretty sure he didn't do that though. So we have tapping. The pattern that you're going to do is tap there on the B string there, that's 14th fret, and then 14th on the D string. Then you do the tap. By itself. You tap the 12th fret on the G string and then tap the 12th fret on the A. So we have this, it's a 4-note pattern. So that's what you want to work up for a while. Keep in mind that you want to keep all the other strings muted. All right, now he does it 8 times here. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he moves it up to 16 in the same, so he doesn't change the strings or anything. 16 on the B and the D, and then 14 on the G and the A. So it's the same shape, just moved up 2 frets. So it's done 8 times there. A little tip here that I found when I was practicing it, it's weirder to kind of shift the whole thing like this, both hands at the same time. So, and it's more economical when you're doing this. So when I'm getting ready to go to the next shift up, I do these two first, because they need to get there first anyway, to the beginning of the tap. And then the other one follows it after it. So sometimes kind of practice the transition, just isolated. So it's a little bit more clumsy if you move them both at the same time. So anyway, so 8 times there. Then 8 times there, that shape down 2 frets higher. Then move everything up 1 more fret. So same shape, you're playing the 17 on the B here in this hand, and then the 15th fret in the fret hand. You're gonna tap that now 4 times, just the pattern 4 times there. Move it up 2 more frets, so now you're tapping the 19th in the right, 17 in the left. 4 times there, so we have 8, 8, 4, 4. All right, now he mixes things up a little bit, and when I see a lot of like covers, people are missing a little thing usually here. So what's going on here? He does something different the first 4 times than he does the second 4 times. So the pattern does change here, and this one's a little bit more awkward to play, as if it's not incredibly awkward already. So we're going to be doing the taps in the right hand at the 21st fret. So still the same tap on the B and the D. But the taps in the fret hand are going to be well, they're all fret hands now, aren't they? The left hand. 17 on the B and 19 on the G. So it's a little bit different shape. So make sure when doing that, try to really still keep that muting going. So now what I see mostly people play it online when they do this, they do. Which is correct, but he doesn't immediately jump into that. He's the first 4, he just hangs out on tapping the 17 on the B and then 19 on the G each time. So he doesn't move it over yet. So he does the same pattern. So you're tapping the 2 notes in the right hand, and then hammer the 17, 19, 17 on the G, 19 on the 17 on the B, 19 on the G, and then do that exact same thing 4 times. Don't move over to the high E yet. And then you move it over to the high E. So what he does is he does that same tapping at the 21st fret, and you do the same frets but different strings. So you're tapping the high E, then the B at the 17 and 19, and then you do the right hand tap again, and then you move the pattern back down to where we were before, the 17 on the B, 19 on the G. So he does 4 times of that. So like that. So the first 4, just hanging out on the bottom one. And then 4 times of going from the high E to the, these two. Again. Again. One more time. I'm sorry. And then you're going to end the solo by playing those 2 notes of the 21st fret together on the B and the D. So we have this all together. All right, then you grab your pick, and we're back. Sorry, wait up. So that starts with a bend at the 4th fret there on the G string. And then, so we went from this crazy tapping thing to Johnny Be Good in about a half a second. So we did that, the bend, then the double stop there, the B and the high E at the 12th fret, on the 2nd fret. And then play the 5th fret on the B string, then back to those double stops. And then we play basically the 2nd fret there on the G and the 5th fret on the B, and then the 2nd fret on the G and the B together. So we have this. From there, we do a unison bend. So you're going to be playing the 2nd fret on the B string while bending up the 4th fret on the G. Till they sound, relatively similar. They're supposed to be unison. That's why it's called a unison bend. All right, and then we have some. So we're pretty much doing now just all this on a melody on the G strings. Kind of slide into the 6th fret, and then it's a quick little bar dip that kind of comes back into that 4th fret. So it's a dip right before you pick it. Hammer 6, pull off the 4, and slide down to 2. And then back up to the 6, slide back into 6. And kind of do the same thing. Slide it back down to hammer, pull off, slide down to 2, and then you pinch harmonic there to 2nd fret. And the little bar dial. So then you got to start the same thing again. So it's really the same thing, except for that little ending there. So we had this. So there's just that little last time when we did, when he goes back to the 6, you kind of just do that same thing, but you extend it. So you pick 4, hammer 6, pull off to 4, slide down to 2, and then hammer 4, pull off to 2, slide down to 1. And a lot of times he'll kind of emphasize those with a little bit of not completely used to this whammy bar yet, but you get what I'm doing. And then we have this. It ends it with this. 2, pull off to 1, hammer back to 2. Now, that's an overdub, obviously. Because you hear the normal thing that we did in the intro come back in over that. So we're back there to this breakdown section. And when he goes into it here, it's pretty much like the intro, it's just shorter. It's pretty much like the second 2/3 of the intro. All right, so that was pretty much just like what I said. We have just the second half of the intro, so that second 2/3 of the intro. So we have with the pitch harmonic there to 2nd fret that we did earlier, and then this up to there with the same D ending. So we've done all that before, so we shouldn't really have to cover it. And then it goes back straight from there, and then the same chorus. Now here, after you've done that riff a couple of times, we get to what I just call it's the extended chorus, which looks like this. Which is when Michael Anthony comes in with his really high harmony. So it is. All right, so that's pretty much the same thing. So we're just kind of holding out on that F sharp a little bit longer. Then back to the A power chord, then up to hit the double stops of the 4 on the D and the G together. And then you go back down to the 2 on the D and the G, hammer onto those 4s again, and then we're going to start the riff over. So we have this. And then we have the kind of the D ending, and then repeat all that. You repeat it, except you don't do the little D ending. You just kind of hold out. Kind of hold off on that F sharp. And then we get to that ending outro solo, which starts with the same kind of tapping stuff. Let me play through it for you real quick, because there is a different ending, and then I'll show you how to play it. It's very similar to the first one, so here we go. All right, so it's the same exact pattern we did before. So all that's the same until we get up here to where we're tapping into the 21st fret. Now here, he immediately goes in. So he does do that tapping there, 21 on the B and the D, and then that tapping on the 17th fret on the B and 19th on the G, and then changing over to the next time through, tapping on the high E and the B with the fret hand. So we immediately go into that where we're jumping back and forth between those 2 string sets and the fret hand, unlike the first solo. So he does that a few times. It just maybe a couple of times actually. And what he does is he do it like twice, and then he goes back and he taps here at the 19th fret, and then slides up a half step, and then he starts that pattern again. So we had this. Then you do that full pattern. Remember, kind of rotate between these strings. So that's one time through it. When we play this on both strings, like that, and that's one time. So then we do that 4, or 4 or 5 or whatever, and then you hit those notes on the 21st fret there on the D and the B twice together again. So when you get up top here. All right, so that's just a little bit different ending. Other than that, everything's the same leading up to that from the main solo in the middle of the song. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it for Judgment Day. It's just a really fun song, really flashy for all your friends to watch you kind of do that overhand tap stuff. But like I said, that kind of pattern, it seems impossible when you first start trying to do it. But the first thing you need to establish is a good muting foundation with the back of your palm there. And don't push too hard on the strings, just kind of a nice light touch. And then be able to set it up at an angle so you can do that tap. And then work on it in the pattern in just one area. Making sure it stays clean. I mean, like the muting. And then once you get it kind of worked into your muscle memory, then we start moving around like the tips that I told you. You can kind of just move one hand at a time and kind of chase it. And that makes the shifts a little bit easier too, instead of trying to move everything at once, which I think is a lot more clumsy, a little awkward feeling. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.